Every nation has its own destiny, its own dramatic past. Some had vanished within the flow of history, others are continuing their way for more than a millennium, acquiring new energy for future generations in battles and wars. Somewhere in invisible crossroads of times, their ways intersect. And these contacts inevitably leave their marks. In clay plates, stone and great monuments, in concerned ancient writings or oral legends. Archaeologists discover trails of those contacts of ancient civilizations through studying ruins of cities of the Great Steppe. Scientists and common people believe that Kazakhstan is a country of nomads, and this belief exists for a while now. But after revealing the actual information from excavations of ancient cities, it became clear that Kazakhstan is a country of cities as well. There is a term, steppe civilization, that contemplates the development of urban culture along with nomadic lifestyle.
Город и степь, они составляли две стороны жизни и развития так называемой степной цивилизации, есть такой термин в науке, который предусматривает развитие и номадизма, и городской культуры.
Historians date the emergence of first settlements on the territories of modern Kazakhstan to be of Bronze Epoch. Later on, during the second millennium BC, proto-cities appeared in the forest steppe zone, the territory of central Kazakhstan. Development of cities took place during the times of Saka and Dusun as well. Starting from 1st centuries AD, cities emerged on a vast territory of southwest of Jetesu, along the banks of vigorous Sirdarya River. This major trade vessel of Eurasia had firmly tied them together. The Great Silk Road was connecting the east and the west, settled and nomadic tribes, nations of different culture, customs and religions. The Silk Road was stimulating the development of urban centers. That was the time of emergence of major cities along Sirdarya. We may certainly be sure that those were full-fledged cities that held international trade, high-level craftsmanship. Those cities had diplomatic relationships, were centers of some states. Turkestan city is situated on the crossroad of ancient caravan roads of Samarkand, Bukhara and Khiva to the north. For many years it was thought that the first urban settlement in this area had appeared around 500 AD, which means that Turkestan is 1,500 years old. Archaeological expedition led by Yerbolat Smagulov had found new evidence that proved that the history of Turkestan goes way back. During the last several years, archaeologists are exploring the ancient settlement Kultobe, which is positioned 300 meters away from the Hoja Ahmed Yesawi mausoleum. Kultobe means coal or cindery hill. This is how citizens of Turkestan called the place where they were dumping ashes. No one could imagine what was hidden beneath this black cultural layer. Archaeological excavations of Kultobe have found that this actually is the oldest known monuments of urban architecture in Kazakh steppe. For a long time we couldn't get to those earlier layers, since, as it is obvious now, they were buried under the thick layer of later periods. Here we took off layers of the 9th and 10th centuries, then medieval layers. They somehow disrupted layers beneath them, but preserved them in such manner at the same time, saving these remains for us. Under the old layers of soil, archaeologists have found ancient citadel of Yassi city, predecessor of Turkestan. Initially it was a cross-shaped construction, defensive castle. Then it was surrounded by massive adobe walls. These are considered the oldest in Kazakhstan.
Я хочу показать вам вот участок крепостной стены, восточный участок.
I want to show you the piece of the eastern side of the wall surrounding the citadel of the ancient Turkestan. This wall is 3 to 6 meters thick. It appeared that there were service facilities within those walls, inside the wider parts of them. There are also a narrow 3-meter wide parts. The citadel itself contained residential and service accommodation. The interesting thing about this wall is that we may connect it with the construction of that cross-shaped building inside the citadel, meaning it belongs to the earlier period, first centuries of our era.
То, что мы ее можем связывать со строительством вот крестовидного здания внутри цитадели и датировать достаточно ранним временем, то есть первыми веками нашей эры.
Archaeologists did not yet agree on exact date of birth of the city. Most of the times, they are busy tracing the process of ancient settlements fading away. Various items of ancient craftsmen were found among the ruins of Kultepe citadel. Bronze pendants, belt plugs, and copper coin of Huvishka, the ruler of Kushan. Archaeologists dated it to the second half of the 2nd century AD. There were also alabaster statuettes of idols found, which were worshipped by people, considering them as spirits of their ancestors. There are not that many artifacts due to the fire that destroyed most of them. This event took place in 4th century AD, when Central Asia was under attack of the White Hun tribes.
Такие вот артефакты отдельные, они сливаются.
By putting these separate artifacts together, we may build a theory that here in Turkestan, from the earliest times, spiritual matters were of much more importance than earthly matters. To me, it reveals the role of the city of Turkestan in contemporary history of Kazakhstan. The results of continuous work of archaeological expedition of Turkestan during these several years allowed archaeologists to suggest that the history of Turkestan goes back to 2000 years. This makes it one of the oldest cities of Kazakhstan. It is worth mentioning that these cities existed for a long time now, 2000 years or more, Atras around Turkestan. Depending on political situation, they were the centers of Kangu state, the first state on the territory of Kazakhstan, of Orda, and finally of Kazakh Khanate. We may trace the definite line connecting different periods, which shows the urbanization and its development on the territory of Kazakhstan as a process defining our civilization. Sauran is one of the most mysterious cities of Sirdarya region. It is located 45 kilometers away from Turkestan. Ruins of this medieval town were preserved well to our time. The castle walls, majestic and tumbled down, rise over the torrid steppe. At some spots its height reaches 8 meters. But most of fortifications, once so massive, had sacked into heap of stones.
Говоря о самом Сауране, нужно отметить, что это, пожалуй, один из наиболее...
Considering Sauran itself, we may point out that it is one of the greatest and well-known medieval cities in southern Kazakhstan. Its history, I think, goes way back to the later centuries of previous era. And in 18th century, in the process of Jungar invasion and overall decline of economic activities in southern parts of Kazakhstan, it fell into decay and lost its last residents. Size-wise, it measures to be one of the largest cities, along with Otrar and Taraz.
По своим масштабам, пожалуй, это, наряду с Отраром, с Таразом, это один из крупнейших городов.
Medieval Sauran used to be a unique city during its best days. Medieval poet Vasifi once wrote about unusual constructions of Sauran. He was admired by the swinging prayer towers of the 16th century Sauran's madrasa. This wonder of Sauran stayed undamaged until the 19th century. Today, there's only foundation left. Scientists still don't know what kind of mechanism was moving these elongated constructions. Sauran was also known for its mint. During the first half of the 14th century, Sauran was the capital of Akorda, first Kazakh state to emerge after the dissolution of Golden Horde. Sauran kept this status further on. Mint is the evidence of strong state power and flourishing of the city.
И вот Сауран как раз один из очень интересных городов, который...
Sauran is one of these intriguing cities. It is interesting that it survived Mongolian invasion, recovered. Then there were wars between Uzbek and Kazakh feudal lords, Shaybanids and Kazakh Khans. In 16th century, Kazakhs took over the political power and got it under Khanate rule. Sauran becomes a Kazakh city.
Захватывается казахи. Он входит в состав казахского ханства.
Jetesu region is rich in archaeological findings. In the foothills of the Karatau Mountains, on the bank of the Talas River, 1,000 years ago, the city appeared that is known now as the ancient Taras. The first settlements here were established by unions of Usun and Saka tribes in 7th-8th centuries BC. Later on, this land was inhabited by Karluks, Kengü, and Huns.
Гунский шаней, там написано, на берегу Таласа, при помощи 500 человек начинает...
It is written there that Shanyu of Huns, with the help of 500 people, started to build his headquarters on the bank of the Talas River.
Крепость сама была...
Inside of it, there was a wattle and daub citadel, and the outer walls were wooden palisade.
Что здесь был воздвигнут...
This is the first mentioning of this city, and since then and up till 12th century, the city of ancient Taras played a major role in the history.
12 века будет играть важнейшую роль в этой истории.
For many years, a central city market was located here, on the territory of this settlement. Several years ago, it was relocated, so that the archaeologists could start their excavations. These days, it got turned into a first archaeological park of Kazakhstan. The city flourished the most during the 11th to 12th century period, under the Karahanid rule. Like other medieval cities of Central Asia, Taras was composed of 3 parts. Citadel was enclosed with massive walls with towers at each corner. It included Khan's castle, treasury, mosque, and watch garrison. Shahuristan, or inner city, was a dense residential area where caravanserai, mint, and madrasa were situated. The outer city, Rabat, was populated with common people, craftsmen, and blacksmiths. Bazaars, baths, common mosques, and water intake points were placed out there.
Город изначально строился по своему генплану.
Using modern terms, the city was built according to its master plan. There was a 5-meter wide road running from east to west.
5-метровой ширины улица.
We've discovered the remains of the eastern gates. They led to the west. And this road was leading to the temple. It wasn't utilitarian.
Куда эта дорога шла? Она дорога шла к храму.
This road, this main street, was ending with Karahan Mausoleum. Early archaeologists found sections of this road. Therefore, this city had an economic and political significance, as any capital city would.
Город имел свою экономическую, в первую очередь политическую значимость, как столичный город.
Taras was expanding with new settlements, houses, mosques, and madrasas. It became one of important hubs of Tian Shan section of the Great Silk Road. Barter trade was developing rapidly. People of steppe were trading horses, camels, sheep, as well as metal, fur, leather, toggery, and quivers. In exchange, they would get clothes, fabrics, grains, craftsman goods, luxury items. Back in those days, nomads and city dwellers were connected very tightly.
Это была страна, действительно, правильно сказано.
It was surely a country of the Great Steppe. Everything was regulated, places to stay for summer, which pastures are under use in fall or winter. And no matter how many wars passed through our lands throughout these centuries, the process of interchange kept going. New nations were forming, and the world kept changing.
Процессы, да, взаимообмены, образовывались, этнос менялся.
Taras wasn't just an administrative center of the Karahanid state. Medieval travelers were calling it the city of merchants. Taras was trading with such great countries of ancient world as China, Byzantium and Persia. There were many interesting urban constructions found after intense archaeological excavations of Taras. There's a citadel with luxurious baths and massive water supply system and a caravanserai. Apart from being an administrative center, Taras coined money, had a functioning mint, it was a trading center. There were up to 20 caravanserais built around the city of Taras. There is only one that survived to our days, Totkol. The main purpose of the Steppe Hotel is to provide a shelter for travelers and help tradesmen. Merchants were not only trading with nomadic and settled population, they were bringing new ideas, cultural values and beliefs. Totkol acquired a new life as a museum complex now. School children come here to learn the lessons of their history, people from the city are holding a national crafts exhibitions, music festivals and shows. There is such way of preserving our cultural heritage and ancient cities, turning them into tourism spots, centers of enlightenment. There are beautiful mausoleums around here, Aisha Bibi, Babajan Hatun and Akurtas. They form some sort of knot of monuments, a bundle of constructions, which are located on the ancient caravan road. The Great Silk Road was a source of power and vital energy for medieval cities of southern Kazakhstan for many centuries. Ispijab, Taras, Sauran, Kulan, Koylik, Talkhrir and many other cities became centers of urban culture of the Great Steppe. Some settlements are still alive, some turned to ruins and became an object of archaeologists' interest. They all remind us that ancient Kazakhstan was not just a part of nomadic world of Eurasia, but that it was the country of cities, the cradle of steppe civilization of Turkic people.